Those first, just expectations for this team. You look at going to the finals. The fours basically guys that play on the fours. That's the guys that's here. Expectations.
I mean, we hadn't even talked about that as a team yet. We'll talk about it later today when we meet for the first time. I'm sure your natural inclination is to, do everything you can to get back where you just left. But that's, in my mind, something that you can't do. We just want to, one, do what we've always done, take it step by step, have our focus on having a good camp, playing well, getting back to the playoffs. That's been something that's been a solid foundational focus for us since we've been here. But I do understand the natural inclination to go there, but I just can't as a coach. Mm-hmm.
Anybody can go without the fans, really. But it's still, all you got.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of the deal. I can't say much about it. We've already put out a statement, but I mean, when a guy like Book misses a few days or whatever the case may be, I don't concern myself too much with it. I've talked to him a few times, and you guys know Book. He just wants to hoop, so he'll get back as soon as he can, and he knows what we do. He'll fit seamlessly into camp, and we'll go from there. Yeah. I mean, we've had a short off season, but we put up a sign in the practice site that short breaks are earned. We've earned the right to have a short break, and we have to embrace that. We obviously are going to be smart, conditioning and getting guys back into game shape, but we embrace where we are, and yet we also understand that we have to look at our guys in practice, listen to our strength and conditioning team, and make sure everybody's doing well from a conditioning standpoint. I had a really good talk with Jay because he's gone deep twice, and we talked about the emotional toll of it all, more so than the physical toll. And so, yeah, we've had a short break, but I mean, that's what you want, and that's something that I hope happens around here for a long time.
It's good to see you to that point with Jay. Something he mentioned in March, so most of the season, that he had to tweak a couple things physically with the short layoff. Is that something we came up in the conversation? Just as a follow-up to that, just how are you going to spend the next couple of weeks gauging where guys are at physically, and just I know you're very attentive to where you can dial up.
Yeah, I mean, we got together as a staff a few weeks ago to come up with a plan. But as you go along, you modify that plan based on, what you need to do and what needs to get done for certain players. Some of our young guys, they can go all day, never have an issue. But we do have a few older guys that have, had some long seasons, and we're going to be as smart as we can with those guys.
You said emotionally, like tough physically. I'm worried wonder about the emotional pain with the young guys having gone all the way to the finals this past year. Like, how are you going to head off them going, hey, I've already arrived, I don't have to move.
I think you're assuming that they feel that way.
In case they do.
Well, I wouldn't assume that any of our guys feel that way. Just talking to them throughout the summer, I think they're just hungry to get better. I don't think we have those kinds of players, but if it did come up, we'd talk about it. It's new for everybody, not just the young players on our team. It's a new position for me. I've never gone through that. So I'm not an authority on it, but I don't believe we have those kinds of guys that would rest on, what they've done. They should obviously feel good about it, but I don't think anybody's drunk off of that at all. I think our guys, if I had to guess, which I don't like doing, but if I had to guess, I think they're hurt more than anything, and that's going to drive them to get better in their personal games and as a team to, hopefully get back there someday.
How do you expect available teams output that curve and the two championship wins? How do you expect them to help this team understand what it takes to really win?
I think anybody who's been through those types of experiences can convey that to the team in a way that coaches can't. And so we value that. Chris brought that last year. Jay brought it. Torrey brought some of that with his playoff experiences. So I don't know specifically, but I'm sure, everything I've heard about JaVale and my conversations with him have been somewhat in that vein, but I try not to choreograph that at all. I think it happens on the plane, in the hotels, after practice, in organic conversations, but he has those experiences for sure. And that's what we talked about when we, asked him to come partner with us here, was those experiences, what he went through on the Olympic team. I think all that stuff can help our squad. Yeah. I mean, we keep losing guys, it's like, which is pretty cool. I mean, I'm blown away at the opportunities that guys have received. Willie being a head coach, 2 years on the bench, that's pretty cool and unheard of. But we had to regroup quickly. And, one of the questions was about the short break. Like, that was a huge part of the short break was, trying to bring in people that we thought would be a good fit, but also challenge me and help me grow as a coach. And because it was such a short break, it was, a lot harder to talk to people that I really didn't know. And so that probably lended itself to me leaning towards guys that I was familiar with, but also guys that had done a good job away from our program, and guys that I knew would challenge me and help our team grow. B. Gates is a guy that I work with in New Orleans, along with Ruff Scalzi. I worked with him in OKC, I wasn't as close to him, but I watched him. And so when we had a chance to bring him on, I was like, there's a guy that would fit and help our program grow. So I think the short off season kind of forced me to do that. And James and I targeted a bunch of guys, but we narrowed it down to the group that we have. And they were, crazy enough to come and work with us. And we're glad to have them and their families, because that was the cool part. A lot of them have kids. Ruff has like 26 kids, man. It's like B. Gates has triplets. Scalzi has a few. B. Gates' kids, I remember holding Kendall. They were premature, man. I held her in my hand, And so to see these kids in our program and running around our gym is going to be pretty cool. So it's pretty long-winded, but I get a bit attached to the kids that we get a chance to be around, because the decisions I make affect families, you know what I'm saying? And so careful about the people you bring in, because the things I do can affect their lives. And so it forces you to work a bit harder. Yeah, Jared's one of those guys that just has it, when I look at Jared's and Willie's, I think of guys, players that are way smarter than I am, and And I don't say that to like come off with that fake humility nonsense. I'm being straight. Like I was with Jared in Portland, and I've watched him over the course of his career. He and Willie impressed me with their balance of acumen and ability to relate to players, work ethic, all that stuff. So when we had a chance to get him, it was a no-brainer for us. And he's had a huge impact on our gym. In the few weeks he's been here, he's been really good for us.
Wanting to follow up on that, Ricardo was talking a lot of
Yeah.
last 2 years, to speak on the impact he had on the younger guys, so everyone felt in general, and the opportunity that he got to do that.
Ricardo was horrible here, bro. Like, I hope he destroys that program down in Arizona. You know, Ricardo was just like, you could not get him to leave the gym. You know, I'd come like a crazy hour, 9, 10 o'clock at night, you know, with my boys, and Ricardo's in the gym with a player, you know, and I'm like, bro, like, do you have anybody in your life that can get you out of the gym? You know what I'm saying? It was like, and so we're going to miss that. And to your point about our staff, like when you lose Willie, Ricardo, and you start losing coaches like that, you think you start to target guys that can fill that void, not necessarily be exactly like them because we don't need that. But what Ricardo brought was a work ethic, relatability. The players loved him, and accessibility. I mean, you could call him at 2 o'clock in the morning to get shots or watch film, and you know he beat you to the gym. And he's going to be an asset to that program at AU for sure, and we're going to miss him.
I know that you're a man of faith, so I want to ask you how much that influenced your coach at the same time. And obviously, you lost. It's like, is there something that you learned? Obviously, you want to
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing about my faith is that I'm just not all that, and I'm a part of a plan and an assignment that is much bigger than basketball for sure. And you know, I try to coach that way or have that mindset when I do coach. You know, it's the Lord has been so good to me to allow me to be in this position for as long as I have been, meaning being in the NBA. I think this is, you know, 25 plus years. And I know I don't deserve that based on who I am. And it humbles me for sure. Because when I study the Bible, I realize that I'm not all that, you know, and it forces me to, you know, lay my life down for the staff and players because that's what I'm called to do. And so, you know, this summer it really helped me when we lost, because I was I was in a pity party for about 2 weeks, man. It was bad. I mean, it's just internally like sad, you know, pouty, but a lot of reflection, a lot of prayer, a lot of studying to get back to this place of understanding how blessed I am. You know, I tell the players all the time, this is a get to and not a got to. And I didn't even subscribe to that. You know, I just went to pout mode when we lost. And then I realized when I was in Texas, feeding my deer and fishing a little bit on our property over there, it's like, man, I get to be in the finals. And we didn't win, but I got to be in that position. I get to work with our players and all of that. It's a huge, huge blessing. And I kind of lost sight of that because we lost, as if I deserved to win because I earned some right. And so that's where my faith plays a huge role in all of this. Yeah. I must have shaved, so it's, you know, I mean, for me, it's probably just internal, you know, a lot more quiet. My kids can tell because and then I just work, you know. I was at our property in Texas. We just bought a small piece of property and put a little house on it. And I was there just building rock walls and cutting more grass than, you know, I should have. And just doing a lot of stuff outside, trying to be productive and not take that stuff out on my family, you know, because it's easy to do. Our business is so intoxicating. Winning is intoxicating. And I realized how selfish it was for me to think that way, that I deserved to win. and I needed time to process that. And I was just doing a bunch of stuff at our property, fishing and hanging out, but also working in the yard and trying to stay out of my family's way.
You also stayed away from basketball.
Not so much, my boys play, so I'm outside with them a lot, working on their stuff and, watching them. I get a lot of joy just watching my boys play. So I try to help them without harming them, which doesn't always work out. I get a lot of rolled eyes my way from time to time with stupid drills I come up with for my boys. But you have to take a break, but I don't think any of us coaches totally, turn it off just because it's what I love to do.
Coach, that's all the time we got for Coach. Thank you all.
Go ahead, one more. I don't want to.
I won't win your title last year. Obviously, you set goals on the way there in intermittent goals. Now that you've been to the finals, how are those intermittent goals this year? Do you look at them changing or doing something different on the way there?
No, I think that's what you talked about. I think it's always step-by-step, process oriented. I think if you, at least in my mind, if you think you deserve the right to go back to the finals, that's irresponsible. For us, I think we go back to ground zero and, we don't skip steps, try to have a great meeting tonight with the players, communicate the message for the season, and then try to have the best camp that we can have. Listen to the players as we get ready for our preseason games, and then step by step, we'll go through the season the best way we know how. But the focus is always on a championship. I think everybody feels that way, but our processes may be different.